So I wanted to talk about starting businesses, entrepreneurship in the first episode of the vlog. One of the concepts I want to introduce is the three visions or three core idea streams within the business. One is from the product standpoint of creation of the product. The other is from the managerial standpoint. And the third from the engineers themselves. So what we're going to look at is starting with our product owners, product developers, our CEOs or other execs, founders that are building the business. And what they're doing is they're creating some sort of chaos. And what I mean by chaos is they're pushing against the bounds or pushing against the normal in order to create a new product that customers are going to purchase and pay money for. The second part is the managers. The managers are going to take the product ideas and they're going to try to line them up into neat little rows. This is important for the third group. The third group is taking those neat little rows of work and actually building the work, or they're building the actual product that's going to be delivered to the customer. For any good business to scale, we need all three pieces working together. If any of the pieces are missing, then what happens is we start to get breakdowns within the way that the business is operating. So for example, let's look at taking the product owners that are creating the product and passing it on to the people that are attempting to deliver on the product by skipping the managerial side. What happens in this case is the product developers will build the work, but it won't get into a form that's easily, let's say, digestible by the engineers. So what do we mean by this? They may come up with requirements that are unwieldy, that are not understood by the engineering team, or they may start changing their minds and the engineering team will have to undo work that they've already been working on in order to match with the expectations of the product owners. And provide better ideas.
What you doing?
I was just taking a video on building businesses.
That's cool.
There we go. Scott just had a conversation with Scott. He video bombed me, turned around, asked me what I was doing, talking about businesses, and gave him some advice on how to start a startup with his mechanical consulting agency. Maybe we'll have some more of that in the future. Back to our conversation on our three ideas in the business: our product, our management, and the technologists and engineers that are building the product. If we are to take the engineers out of the equation, and this one seems really simple, is we don't have the specialists to build the product. Now what happens is, and this should seem almost elementary, but we'll walk through it anyhow, is the product owners and designers of the product will build the ideas. The ideas will be placed by the managers into some sort of execution framework, but then there will be no specialist to deliver it to. So the specialists being, again, specialists within their domain. So let's take software engineers that know technology stacks, the particular technologies to use based on the business domain that we're giving them as a problem. they can think about it. They'll ruminate about the problem and give you options. And with those options, the product can be made even better through the interaction with our specialists. If we're missing that, we miss that interaction. Either we won't be able to build the product, because we won't have the specialist, and even if we did have some capability of building a product, say the managers could code, build software, the product developers could build software, it may not be to quality level that the market would expect of this product. The third part of this triangle is if we remove the product owners, the product specialists out of the equation, then in software again, you may have seen applications or solutions that, in the quote comes, looks like they were developed by an engineer. There are no UX specialists involved. There is no going back to the market and getting feedback from the customer base using the product and software. So we start losing out on this information. We lose out on understanding what the real problem is that we're attempting to solve. And if we solve the wrong problems, we don't get paid for our solution. So 3 concepts. Again, the product owner creating chaos to build a product because they're challenging the status quo, handing that off to the manager that builds the work in a way that it's easy for the execution team to implement. So for example, in an agile paradigm, they're building out user stories and they're getting the user stories estimated and properly sized so that the engineering team can take those pieces of execution, those user stories, and start to deliver on them. So hopefully that was helpful for you. I'll see you next time in the next vlog.